Star Wars only, I don't know what the fuck your problem is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hit a pretty big mark for the channel. Both of my documentaries have reached 1 million views, and I just want to make a video saying thank you. Thank you to all the loyal Star Wars only subscribers and fans of the channel. We're at 45,000 subscribers at the moment, and we're probably going to be hitting 50 by the end of the month. I hope. That'd be nice. If not, big whoop. Probably hit it by January. But still, we're growing, we're doing great, and I'm really just happy that we reached 1 million views on both my documentaries. If you recall, the first one is The Fans vs. Disney. That came out almost a year ago now. 11 months ago is what it says at the moment, but it came out in December of 2018, and it was basically a recap of everything that happened between 2012 and 2018 for the Star Wars fandom since Disney had bought Star Wars. And it's an okay documentary. I've made some rookie mistakes on it. I have the same song in the background, and I didn't turn it down enough, I guess, where you can still kind of hear it, and you can tone it out and still enjoy it. But yeah, there's not a lot of perfection going on in that documentary, but hey, it is what it is. I can't change it now. I'm not coming out with a special edition version of that like George Lucas probably would. But there's also the Phantom Menace documentary. It's Phantom Menace 20 years later. That came out in May of this year, and it was kind of like what it says in the title. It's a recap of the past 20 years of the Phantom Menace and how the fans look at it now compared to what they did in 1999 when it originally came out. And I know some people have asked if I'm going to make Attack of the Clones 20 years later or Revenge of the Sith 20 years later documentaries. And no, I definitely won't be doing an Attack of the Clones one. If I did, it would come out in 2022. But I don't have the interest in making that, honestly. I felt like The Phantom Menace had a more culture significance, and it was the most anticipated film of all time. It was the ending of a decade in the 90s. In the beginning of a new era in Star Wars, a confusing era where fans weren't really as happy with George Lucas as they used to be. And I also wanted to talk about like the kids who grew up with that film and how they look at that now compared to the older fans who look at it and everything. There's a lot of significance that went into that film that I think merited a documentary. And obviously there was enough interest in it, and so I'm happy that it reached 1 million views. I'm a lot more proud of that documentary than I am the Fans vs. Disney one. And yeah, I'm just happy that I made it. But Attack of the Clones won't be happening. Revenge of the Sith one, that would be in 2025 because that's when it hits the 20-year anniversary. But that also, I don't know if I would do one called 20 Years Later on it. I might do kind of a prequel documentary maybe instead. That one would be interesting. I got 5 years to plan that out and plenty of time and plenty of research that can go into it. It definitely will be longer than 40 minutes, though. I've seen some people say they want longer documentaries. I mean, neither of them have reached past an hour, but I don't want to drag it on just for the sake of dragging it on. But I do think that if I make one in 2025, it'd be like a documentary that, you know, has more interviews in it and is longer. I'll definitely work on my audio mixing in that time because the biggest problem with the past two have just been audio problems, and that's just me being a novice in this kind of game. And there's a few documentaries that I do want to make in the future. There was going to be one that came out in 2020, January 2020, and that's because my job would have started in late January, and I'm not going to have time in 2020 to make a documentary up until like maybe, geez, I don't know, man. I really don't think I'll have time to make one, and because they're pieces of work, if I'm being honest. They take a good minute to make, and it's not like oh, it's just editing that takes a while. It's the research, it's the writing of the scripts, it's the editing of it, it's the recording it the way I want to record it, it's properly telling a story. I mean, they're just not easy to make, and so I really want to put the proper time and dedication to it and not try to rush them out like I have the past two in order to really make better documentaries in the future. So I don't think we'll have one in 2020. If we do, I don't know what it would be about. I was supposed to make one about the Clone Wars and bring it out in January because February is when the new season starts. And I'm sorry I didn't make it. I didn't have time. I had college this past semester. I couldn't really find a time to make it, and I had been pumping out content daily for, you know, Mandalorian, Rise of Skywalker stuff, other things that are going on in the Star Wars universe. I didn't really find the time to research it the way I wanted to research it and write a script for it and everything, and then editing it would be another week or two of work or something, if not more. So I'm sorry if you wanted a Clone Wars documentary, and I'm sorry to reveal that I was going to make one, but I just kind of fell through with it. Maybe I can make one in 2021 when the Clone Wars Season 7's over, and I have time to make one, but yeah, there's other documentaries that I do want to make about different parts of Star Wars, of course. That's what most of the documentaries are going to be about. There's one specifically that I think is going to be my proudest and most controversial work in the Star Wars fandom that'll kind of test, not even test your knowledge, but just break your knowledge on how these films were made and the people that were involved in making them, because there's kind of a secret history to it that was kept under wraps intentionally, and I don't like that aspect of it. But one day that'll come out, and hopefully I can get the interviews that I want to get for that. And I really don't know how many other documentaries I'll make, but since my channel is growing and since I plan on doing the Star Wars stuff for a while, you can bet that there's going to be a lot more documentaries in the future. There are two for sure that I know I'll make. One in 2025 about the prequel trilogy, or just Revenge of the Sith, probably like as a whole, capturing the entire prequel trilogy story and the story of those films 20 years later and how it's grown and evolved and the fandom looks at it now. And then there would also might be one about the Skywalker saga as a whole and how everything began and ended and just all the behind the scenes details that you wouldn't really know, and just a documentary. I mean, honestly, that's what it is. And then trying to think of another one. Maybe a George Lucas documentary. I think that would be a really good one to make, because I'm a bigger George Lucas fanatic than I am a Star Wars fan, which I know is funny because I criticize the man a lot, but I think a lot of Star Wars fans think they know George Lucas and like to act like they do, and that really annoys me because when I see people talk about him, they don't know shit about the man, and it really gets under my skin because I study his life work, I read books about the man. I got a book right here with the man on the front page. So yeah, I think that'd be an interesting documentary to make. One about George Lucas, one about the Skywalker saga, one about the prequel trilogy, and then the other one that I'm not going to tell you about because I'm keeping it under wraps for a long time. And can't really think of anything else. Maybe a Clone Wars one, maybe a one about LucasArts. That one's a pretty interesting story. I've talked about doing one about the expanded universe and how that came to be and how it ended. But I don't know, man. That one would be a tough nut to crack if we're being honest. I mean, finding the footage for it, the research. Oh my god, the research into that one. I tried starting it up earlier this year in 2019, and I just could not get it going. So maybe with the proper time and resources I can. And that's another cool thing, is that now I know people inside the Lucasfilm industry and like with the production side of Star Wars and everything, and people in the know. And so now that I have those so-called inside sources, I can use them as a resource. And one of them has already given me like contact information for certain people in the backstory of Star Wars who know the history a lot better than some of us do. So I have those possibilities, but who knows, honestly. The possibilities for these documentaries are almost endless. There's a lot of topics to make about in the Star Wars universe. I'm not just going to do it on like a video game, like the Force Unleashed documentary and the Battlefront series documentary. I mean, stuff like that's just kind of pointless. That's like a YouTube video. When it comes to a documentary, I want to have like a lot of research into it, proper storytelling, and something that really almost hits the heart a little bit. You know, I got a lot of positive reactions from that Phantom Menace one, and I want to do something like that again. But just to say thank you, this video is a thank you to all the Star Wars only fans. I know it's been a lengthy video because you know me, I like to talk, but I want to give you some behind the scenes look in a way about my thoughts on everything. So hope you guys enjoyed the documentaries. Thank you so much for making it reach 1 million views. It really does mean a lot to me, and it's really helped the channel grow. Tell me what you want in the future for a documentary, some ideas that you'd like me to cover, possibly, and turn into a documentary, or concepts. Just give me some ideas, and we'll think about turning it into a documentary. But thank you all for 1 million views. Thank you for 45,000 subscribers on YouTube. The channel's growing. It's going to keep growing, and I'm excited to see where the future of this channel goes with the documentaries. And Star Wars seems to be going strong up until maybe 2030. We have a long future ahead of us, so I don't think we're going to be going anywhere. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope you guys enjoy the documentaries. Leave your thoughts, ideas, and comments below. I'm Star Wars Only. I'll see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.